and welcome to the program. This is RT. It's 2 a.m. here in the Russian capital and 11 p.m. in London, where a court has ruled in favour of Julian Assange's extradition. The WikiLeaks founder is wanted for questioning in connection with sexual assault allegations during a trip he made to Sweden last summer. His lawyers fear he won't receive a fair trial in Sweden and risks being handed over to America on espionage charges. Italy fears it will be brought to its knees as a new wave of immigrants is expected to flood the country. Thousands of refugees have reached its shores from the unsettled Arab world. The government has called on the European Union to help with the predicted invasion of up to 1 million people. RT's Igor Piskunov reports now on how locals are dealing with the situation.
At 80 miles off the coast of North Africa, the tiny Italian island of Lampedusa has relied on fishing and tourism for its main sources of income.
Just an hour ago, the world's most journeyed spaceship Discovery successfully blasted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida on its final mission. This mission to the International Space Station comes after almost 3 decades of orbital travel. So the death toll in Japan is now 400, but sadly it's a figure feared to rise a lot more, with reports that almost 90,000 people are missing. There's been a radiation leak at a power plant in the northeast of Japan after its cooling system was damaged. A full-scale emergency is underway, with residents moved from their homes. The extent of the contamination from the plant, where radiation levels soared to 1,000 times normal, is not yet known. Meanwhile, millions of Tokyo commuters have been stranded as the capital suffers transport chaos. Huge numbers of homes and buildings have been destroyed, with vast damage across the country. And there was little or no warning that an earthquake of this size would hit in the Pacific. And Vasily Titov from the Center for Tsunami Research says that it's not surprising, as there is a long way to go before an effective earthquake alert system can be developed.
It's a big disaster. There is no question that whenever a disaster like that happens, we all want to see what can be done more.
Turning our attention to Libya now, the European Union says it's keeping a military option open and has demanded Colonel Gaddafi surrender power. At an emergency summit in Brussels, EU leaders showed political support for Libya's opposition council, but stopped short of official recognition. RT's Daniel Bushell has been following events.
EU leaders at the summit here in Brussels have backed Libya's opposition council.
Japan relies heavily on nuclear energy, and with millions of people now left without power, Russia is offering to help. Moscow says it's now working on ways to assist following a request from Tokyo. RT's Peter Oliver has the details.
Russia has stepped into the breach with energy aid for Japan.
The nuclear catastrophe at the Fukushima power plant has naturally raised worrying parallels with the Chernobyl meltdown in Ukraine in 1986. However, RT's Alexei Yarashevsky in Kiev explains that the two explosions are of quite a different nature.
Obviously, this white smoke coming from the reactor building is the only obvious resemblance which we can see between the two incidents.
Hello and welcome to the program. This is RT's weekly review, and our top story: the situation at the Fukushima nuclear plant remains grey, with fears that a second blast could occur at the facility rocked by Friday's earthquake and tsunami. Engineers are battling to prevent a nuclear meltdown after an explosion at a reactor, with 22 people already affected by radiation leakage. This as the country declares a state of emergency at a second plant in the northeast. And RT's Ivor Bennett is in Sendai, the town worst affected by the tsunami. Ivor, hello to you. So you are just 100 kilometers away from the Fukushima nuclear plant, and we've heard reports that radiation leaked from there could have travelled much greater distances. Are people on the streets at all worried?
Well, the main concern in the Fukushima prefecture around those power plants that you're mentioning there is exactly that, the threat of nuclear meltdown and the chance of radiation spreading in the atmosphere. Already we know 22 people are being treated with radiation exposure.
Japan's Prime Minister has addressed the nation as fears intensify about a possible nuclear meltdown at a power plant struck by last Friday's catastrophic earthquake and tsunami. The company running the Fukushima nuclear power plant has admitted meltdown is a possibility following 2 fresh explosions at the complex. And there are also fears of radioactive leakage, with reports of damage to the structure protecting the reactor. And now we can go live to Japan, and our correspondent Ivor Bennett is there for us. Hello there, Ivor. So radiation levels have risen both inside and outside the plant. How bad is the situation, and what's the risk of nuclear disaster now, and what's being done to try and prevent it?
The situation now is very critical indeed. There's a very realistic threat of a nuclear meltdown now.
And for the latest on the situation and news coming out of Japan and the rest of the world, check our website rt.com. This is RT live from the Russian capital. Thanks for watching. The latest headlines coming up shortly after the break.